Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show, Looking Back With. And tonight, we have Paul Bryson. Paul, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Cheers, James. Looking forward to catching up.
Definitely some good stories, I can imagine. But again, the show is sponsored by Baywatch TV, Sunderland West End, Durham City FC, Jade Bell, and of course, proud to support If You Care Share Foundation. And like you say, really looking forward tonight, going through playing days and coaching days. I know a few people seeing the best 11s in the group as well, which I know it's been a main topic. I know you've been talking about on the town, haven't you? A few people been coming up for the last few days.
I've had a few texts as well, and from some people that didn't get in the 11 as well, so some of them aren't too happy.
No, amazing. Like I say, some other managers now want to put theirs on as well, so it's really good. And the people in the
that's good.
reading them as well. There's some good.
That's good.
We're getting on to playing days and early days in your career as well at Towlaw, and for a good few years, 82 to 86, club doing well. Fourth place finishing the FA Cup first round game against Bradford City, 84-85. How did your early days come around at Towlaw, and were you enjoying the football back then?
Yeah, it came around actually. I was a schoolboy at Middlesbrough when I was younger, and I got released off Middlesbrough, and then I went back to my boys' club, which was Redgeoff, and I think they had like a close knit with Towlaw, because there had been one or two previous Redgeoff players, John Tweedy, Stephen Webb, and one or two others had went to Towlaw. So I think the manager Billy Bell had a close link with Evan Bryson, who was head of Redgeoff Boys Club, and he used to recommend one or two of the players who we thought who could handle it, you know. So just a little story actually. Just before I went there, I had a try for Carlisle, and we played at Brunton Park against Wigan reserves, and played in the same team as Peter Beardsley, and we won the game 6-3. Peter Beardsley scored 4 and made the other 2, and it was just, honestly, the level that his performance was absolutely outstanding. Just picking the ball up, beating 2 and 3 men, scoring goals, and then he got the move to America, and then, you know, the rest of his career had been absolutely fantastic, you know. So I didn't get anything at Carlisle, to be fair. So I joined Towlaw from Redgeoff. So yeah, it was a great for me first senior club. The manager was called Billy Bell, and he was light years ahead of his time. He rumor I had, like, one more youth. Obviously, when I was younger, he went to watch Bill Shankly at Liverpool, Don Revie at Leeds, and he done similar training sessions to what he had seen. I thought it was fantastic, because as I say, I was only 18, 19. He used to do shadow play, really set up on set players, and he was just great to work for, you know. And then after Billy Bell, there was Stu Lehman and Terry Kirkbride, and again two fabulous guys to work for. And it was then when we had that the FA Cup run, which was played at Valley Parade. We drew Bradford. Them days it was the 4th and 3rd division. Bradford were top of the 3rd, so we couldn't ask for a tougher draw. But to be fair, we went, we done everything properly. We went overnight. We played the next day, and their side included Peter Jackson, Chris With, John Hendry, Stuart McCall, who I was playing actually directly against, you know. So I remember the game. It was, you're looking up at the big clock there, and there was 20 minutes to go, and we're still in the game. It was 3-2, and they brought a young player called Don Goodman on, and we're a little bit dead on our feet, like, and he's fresh as, and he bags a hat-trick, you know, and it ends up a convincing scoreline. But to be fair, we done quite well on the day, and it was a fantastic memory that'll always stick with us.
No, it's great. And like you say, more FA Cup football coming in a minute as well. I mean, you moved to Gateshead in 86, short spell before moved to Spenny. And again, during that time, finishing 3rd, won the league, the Creator Cup, and again, the first round, the FA Cup against Tranmere. I mean, at this time, obviously, you've grown up as well, where you kind of get that taste of success and you just wanted more in your career at that point.
Do you know what happened, James? Gates had came in for us, and Gates had played in the Conference League then. It was called the Gola League in the years gone by. And I'm obviously a Gateshead lad, and Gateshead still holds a massive affinity towards myself. And I went to Gateshead for it, and it was just a short. It was just a short spell. What had happened? I had started a new job, and obviously that dictated the time I had off. And I just couldn't make the travelling, But I had 5 or 6 games for Gateshead, and I wish I could have stayed longer. But as I say, the jobs they pay the bills, like sort of thing, So it was just a short stint there, but fantastic club, and there was some smashing players there as well, But what had happened, Spennymoor had found out that that I couldn't stay at Gateshead because of the travelling and the work commitments. And in them days, they had to pay transfer fees, so they had to pay £750 for us to get transferred from Towlow, And but as I say, I had a 3 great year there as well. Real good club. I think the highest finish was 3rd. But bearing in mind, in them days, your Whitby Towns, your Blythe Spartans, Gretnas, Blue Stars, all them were in the league, and it was a real top league, And to finish 3rd, I think we won the League Cup as well in that time when I was at Spennymoor. But again, my biggest memory there was the FA Cup, where we drew Tranmere at our place at the Brewery Field. And again, we ran them close. We ended up getting beat 3-2. A lad called Ian Muir scored a hat-trick for them. Steve Vickers was in the. I think he was one of the subs who came on. He later on went and had a great career. And obviously that player manager was Frank Worthington, So what a career he had, and what a character, And I remember him actually in the clubhouse afterwards, and he was really complimentary about the lads because he knew I had given them a real close run for their money, And we had a chance at the end. Arthur Graham had a chance at the end, and he just put it over the bar from 8 yards, and to get a draw and go back to Tranmere would have been fantastic, but it wasn't to be. But again, a fantastic memory.
Oh, definitely. I think speaking of the FA Cup, we've had loads of lads on the look back to it now, and obviously playing non-league, and I think it just means a little bit more the FA Cup, that level where you play so many games. You get in the first round where you'll see it get in the 5th, 6th round, and you just see players not even bother anymore about it. It's a shame, really. But you look at them games, and like you say, your Bradford, the likes of McCall, Goodwin, Hendry, Tranmere, Moore, Vickers playing. When you're playing like was going, getting through all them games, get the first round, you draw a thing like that. It's an amazing feel. I mean, what was it like just walking out with them players and like coming out with tunnel and stuff like that? It's a build up as well, isn't it?
Brilliant. There's 2 different. Obviously, Bradford were quite well supported when we played at Valley Parade. Towlow, we had a fair few supporters, but nowhere near as. But Bradford was a good. I remember it was and just a great occasion. The Spennymoor Tranmere game was obviously at the Brewery Field, and it was jam packed, and it was fantastic. Honestly, it was them days were like what you sort of strive for, what you like dreamed of, really, and it came true, getting to the first round proper and playing against these sides and pitting your wits, as I say, especially the Tranmere one where I was directly playing against Stuart McCall, and a fantastic experience. And he went on to play for Everton, Scotland. Had a fantastic career. So, but they were great memories. And when you mentioned it the other week, when you says, Paul, will you come on, and all them memories come back, and you start thinking about the players who you played against, and also the players who were in our side as well. Because there was some. The Northern League it's still a good league now, don't get us wrong, but obviously your Blythes and Whitby's have moved on, but like years back, it was a top standard. Like, it was top standard.
Not really good. And like you say, in 1989, moved to Appleton. What a time! I had to write this down because the amount of stuff that was there that was won during this period. But won the League Cup, Weymouth, Ship Owners, Durham Challenge, more finals, promotion season by season as well. Over 250 appearances. At that point, why was the club so successful at that point?
James, I'll just tell you another little story before I went to Appleton, actually, and it was a little disappointing end to me Spennymoor days. And when I look back overall, I haven't regretted anything. And I wouldn't change anything, but I would change this thing. I was on a contract at Spennymoor, and as I say, I love my time there. Lovely people. The manager was fantastic, Tony Monkhouse, absolutely fantastic. But I played with my mates on a Sunday, and I got caught playing with my mates on a Sunday. So I got my contract cancelled, So, which it was disappointing. And I had a little spell at South Bank, and again, South Bank, they had to pay, I think, £1,250 for us to get for the transfer to take place. But whilst I regretted getting caught playing on a Sunday, and I shouldn't have done it, it was my own fault, and leaving Spennymoor, I went to South Bank with a guy called Peter Mulcaster, who I'm still very close friends with now. So yes, I regretted what I'd done, but I made a lovely friend in Peter. And as I say, I still keep in touch with him now, and played with some real top players at South Bank as well, So then it came to the start of the next season, and then that's when the Appleton days kicked in,
Really good. Like, I know we had Martin Swales on. He mentioned the cups that you can win in the leagues, and he said like they're so special. That's right, like Ship Owners and stuff like that. How special it is. I mean, was it good for yourself and Norland trophy with Appleton as well?
It was fantastic, and as I say, Stewie Sherwood was the manager. Tony Heslop was the assistant manager, and again, two very, very close friends of mine now. Stewie was very motivated, loved winning, loved the club as well. He's a hitting lad, and he wanted Appleton, to strive to go through the Wayside League into the Northern League, and as I say, we're really, really successful, as well as winning the Ship Owners, the Monk Weymouth, and the league. And we also won the Durham Challenge Cup, which was fantastic for a Wayside League team to win the Durham Challenge Cup. And then we'll be concert in the final at Victoria Park at Hartlepool. And then the very next year we got to the final again, where we lost 1-0 to a dubious goal against Billingham Tenure. So as I say, like a real successful team, some top players, and to be fair, run by like a top guy in Stewie, like, to be fair.
Yeah, no, definitely. Comment coming on there as well. Craig Hilton, hope you're okay, Paul, mate. Nice to see you. And Tony Carter, I remember watching Mr. Bryson for Dunston 30 years ago, which literally just about to get onto Dunston and well. I'm just laughing as well because poor Tony, he comes on and comments on the shows, and every time when he comes on, bless him, like there's another Tony Carter who goes through all the games. Gates, and he always gets mixed up with them, so I think they'll get mixed up in a few of the comments on there as well on that one. But,
right. Well, Tony, who watches Gates, I know very, very well, and right. He used to watch us at Dunston, so I think it's. I think it might be that one.
Moving to Dunston in 1994 and finishing top scorer, reached the League Cup final. Moved to Chester Street in 1997, winning promotion again in the First Division. Good league season, finishing after that. What age are you at this point? But again, it just seems to be win after win after win. It must be great having that into your performance and just the confidence flowing.
James, like when we were playing for Appleton, Dunston was always our rivals. Right. It's obviously right next door to like 5 or 6 of the Appleton lads who were from Gateshead. And to be fair, I enjoyed my time at Appleton more than anybody, but it was always in the back of my mind, I would love to play for Dunston. I would really love to play for Dunston. Yeah. And when I got the opportunity, I was delighted, and had a couple of the year there with Peter Quigley and Tony Heslop. the thing about Dunston, it's an absolute fabulous club, run by like proper people. Malcolm James, Ian McPherson, Billy Montague, you know, they're all top people, you know, and they're still there now. And I've spoken to players. I've spoken to players since. I've spoken to managers, and have said it's the best club they've played for. You know, they're made to feel it's a real special club. You're made to feel really wanted. The 2 year I was there, we got to the League Cup final. I think we got beat off Whitby. And the only thing from the 2 year, I finished highest goal scorer, which was great, and an accolade for a midfield player, you know. But as I say, I couldn't speak any highly of the club, and again played with some, you know, like real top players at Dunston, Keith McNall, Keith Mills, you know, Bruce Halliday, Glenn Little, Elliot Milburn, Ian Dalziel, you know, like real top players. And as I said, it was a real good club, you know, a real good club.
Yeah, really good. And like you say, getting onto Chelsea Street and winning promotion there, the first division. And at this point as well, is when the player managing role started as well. Was that also something that you were looking at that point?
James, you seem to get to that age where you start thinking, I mean, playing days, you know, they're running out a bit, you know, and like what you're going to do after, your playing day. And I love me football, and I see myself as, you know, when I finish playing, I'll get into the coaching stroke managing, and I went and had a chat with John Tomlinson at Chelsea Street, and he obviously offered us a job, and I took Stewie Sherwood in with us, and it was smashing really, because Stewie took care of the things off the field, and I helped to do the things on the field, like, you know. And I remember when I took the role, we made a conscious effort of getting an experienced side that would, you know, could hopefully get promoted at the first time of asking. And we started the season, and I think we went 20, 22, 23 games undefeated, you know. So we had a real positive start of the season, and we're up there from, you know, the word go, and we maintained that, you know. And we went up as champions. But I would probably argue the following season was a bigger success, because we finished third in the league in the first division, and you know, but everybody talks about budgets and that, and at the time Chester, it wasn't a big budget, but I just think we carried the momentum from the second division into the first division, added one or two players, and finishing third was a real success for a club like Chester, you know. And I was pleased I was behind that, you know.
No, it's really good, really amazing. Ben Ryan just saying, great growth, Bryson, put a football in, man. Thumbs up, and Craig, yeah, I'll second that, Ben, mate. So second, it's just nice when we're doing shows like this and people getting the comments in. It must be special for yourself to kind of see them coming through, and no doubt the message that you've had, know that you're coming on as well. It's nice to see, isn't it?
James, it's honestly, it's fantastic. And you know, even now, me role at Burley, you know, and you know, when you see players who you've coached in the past, and they come up and they give you the time of day, and they ask how you're doing, and I'm delighted to hear they're doing well, and it's just fantastic to see friendly faces. How you've just played a little bit part in their development on that journey, you know, and like it's really pleasing and really rewarding.
Yeah, I know one person. I mean, Ian, who always comes on the show, Ian Davo, comes on the show, is now doing these and the non-league. I know he just messaged there, said my headphones not working very good, so I hope you can hear us, Ian. But yeah, he just mentioned obviously the kind of what you had on him as well at Chester Street. It's just amazing with the stories, and I know when he said you were coming on, you said you'll really enjoy the show. So I'm glad he's watching as well.
Well, getting back to the Chester one as well, there, James. What had happened, as I said, we went experience, and then because after another couple of years, them experienced players are sort of, you know, that it's time to move on, and then we took a different. We had some younger lads coming through, like Stephen Stewart, Ross Lumsden, Stephen Lewis, and they all went on to have like really good careers, like after Chelsea Street as well. So it was whereas we went experience first, it was to bring the younger ones through later on,
Definitely. Tony just mentioned there before we move on from Dunston. Would you like to ever manage Dunston one day?
That was one of the things I used to say to myself. I wouldn't mind, but it just hasn't materialised, but that's no problem. Hey, the people who's been in charge of Dunston have done fantastic. I remember Bobby Scaife, Billy Irwin, absolutely superb, and Swaz is doing a great job there now. So they've had I've just named three there. They've had three of the very best in charge of them over the last, good few years, and proper lads, proper managers, and they've had loads of success, and that club deserves that.
Oh, definitely. Keep the question coming as well. Brilliant. Like you say, massive thank you. Smashing double figures all night, which is absolutely amazing. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well to help the channel grow. Getting back to the play manager with Stu Sherwood, Cheshire Street, Berkeley, play coach, good times, concert, the 03-04 promotion, and then Berkeley again, obviously leading that promotion to the Northern League as well. At this point, obviously, did you finish play when you were 43, and was it kind of just straight into management full time at that point, or was it a little break, or were you just kind of straight into things?
James, what had happened? The only reason I left Chelsea Street, obviously, I was right into my coach, and then I had done my UEFA B, and there was opportunities coming up at academies, and I got offered the under 13-14 role at Sunderland, and that I thought that was the avenue I was going to take, So I made the decision that I couldn't take Sunderland under 13s, 14s. And have the Chelsea Street player manager role alongside it. It would have just been impossible to do two jobs well. So then I spoke to Stewie, and I spoke to John Tomlinson, Joe Burlinson at Chelsea Street, explained the situation, and as I say, I was taking this role at Sunderland. But I still thought I could, I still thought I could play for a few more years, So as I say, I went to Berkeley for a couple of years to start with Smigs and Fosh, and again we were fortunate enough to be very, very successful. And I was really, really happy at Berkeley. And then I don't know if you know a guy called Ray Lish. He took the concert job, and he offered us to go to concert, and I says, I'll not leave Smigs and Fosh. I love Berkeley, and I love them too. And I had 10 minutes with Ray Lish, and he's convinced us to go to concert to do a job there as player coach. And I was 40 then. I was 40 years of age, and I went up to concert with him and Freddie Creswell. Honestly, again, fantastic experience. Two fantastic guys. And again, very, very fortunate to play in a promotion-winning squad, So that was really successful. Delighted that I had went to concert, to be fair, and played with some, Johnny Brown, Jeff Sugden, Rod Butler, proper concert stalwarts, But then, as I say, they got promoted to the first division, and I'm 41 there now, and I think I would have struggled in the first division at that age, So thankfully, Smigs and Foss took us back to Berkeley, where I played for another 3 years, and finally hung them up at the grand old age of 43.
Oh, amazing. As well, and before we get on the coaching side, which is the next bit, we've got to mention as well something that you've been involved with just coming up with the Danny Graham charity game, great charity, Hail Tour charity. Danny Graham Legends versus the Gateshead FC Legend, managed by yourself and Mark Irwin. Saturday the 20th of May, 3 p.m. kick off down at South Shields. And I mean, I know a lot of people that's watching this has probably seen the team that you put in, the best players, which is still in the group as well. Get in there and get a check out, because absolutely amazing. Lots of great comments on that. And I mean, the Gateshead team got a lot of mention to say, wow, what a group of players. Well, are you looking forward to getting back with a few of them players and getting something on the game legends?
There is, yeah. I got the phone call off Mark Irwin and Mark Aswater. Me and him run the team. So we have been in touch with like Ben Clark, Phil Turnbull. Who else is Matty Patterson's coming to play forward, and one or two others. Shuey Brightwell's coming to play. Andy Wright, Craig Marin. So we're looking forward to getting them together. I've heard one or two rumours who Danny's getting to play for him as well, and there's some good players there, by the way. So it's in a charity event. It's a fantastic cause, and anything for charities. It's a pleasure to be involved with.
No, definitely. I'm sure it's a week after we come back from holiday, so I'm going to try and get that.
The 22nd of May. 22nd of May it is.
Excellent. Oh, it'll be amazing that. Getting on the coaching side of things as well, and between 2007 and 2009, you were at Cheshire Street looking at the final again, Berkeley and a spell at Jarrah. How did you find them early days of kind of just coaching non-stop rather than just being a player manager at that time?
Do you know? I always say it. Honestly, I think I mentioned it there before. I never look back, and when it was time to eventually hang the boots up, that was and I never used to go back and I never used to say, oh, if I was playing, or I wish I could be playing. It's time to move on, and that was me next little role. I went back to Cheshire Street with Stu and Hezzy and done the coaching there, and again, I think that particular year we got beat off concept in the Durham Challenge Cup final, I think, in Nissan. And then I had a little spell at Jarrah with Richie. Got Jarrah promoted to the first division. So again, that was quite successful. Richie, I heard Collie on the other week and how highly Collie spoke about Richie, and I would echo the same. Honestly, Richie was a fantastic football person. Heart was in the right place, and he lived and breathed football, and it, working with him, sometimes it wasn't easy, but you did what you had to do, and I, as I say, that season I was there, they got promoted, so I was well pleased with that, if the truth be known,
Oh, imagine. Craig's just in the comments there. Have you ever thought of coaching the South Shield? And obviously they're definitely a massive team on the up now, and it looks like they're going to be in that promotion ever. If anything came up there?
No, I'm quite. I don't know if you know, James, but a couple of months ago there was how the rumour mill goes around, and Paul beat and Colin beat and Scott Brown at Berkeley. Asked, have you heard this rumour? Have you heard that rumour? And what do you think you're going to be doing next year? And I've committed to Berkeley for another year. So I think it's good for the club, and I think it's good for myself, and more importantly, I think it's good for the players, because the players, even this year, where we end up, they know they've got a platform to build on. They know me, Foss, and Robin are going to be there next year. So I think that's good in both camps, So I'm looking forward, and then after next year, I wouldn't look beyond that. But hey, you never say never, do you?
That's it. Eve Niall as well. Thank you always for watching, mate. Really appreciate that as well. And getting back to the coaching, then came on Gateshead in the college, and I remember obviously playing a few games for New Durham College against Gateshead, and I always remember that you knew you had a game when you played against Gateshead, a very organised professional setup. Did you enjoy your time there, obviously including league titles, cups, everything, finals after finals, really, wasn't it?
Absolutely, honestly, absolutely loved it. It was, I got the opportunity to go there through a guy called Alan Snowden, and it was a blank canvas. We had, in the first year, we had 20 students on the course, and within 3 or 4 years, we had built it up to 160 students. Which was massive. And as you say, a big thing. What I try to do is to get the link with the football club, and that got stronger as the years went on, and we represented them in the youth cup, and we had 2 fantastic youth cup runs. We'll be Preston North End. We beat Tranmere Rovers. We beat Doncaster at the Keep Mode, and we lost to Derby County. 4-0 at Pride Park, but again, fantastic experience for the young players, and as you say, the big thing was a couple of national finals there. In fact, there was when I left, which is quite a few years, 8, 9 years ago, there was they give us a little plaque. Well, like how many national trophies we had actually won, how many players had went back into the pro game, how many players had went into scholarships to America, which I was like really pleased with. But that was, as I say, getting the link with the football club, creating a 3rd-year program, which was a paid program, and the players representing Gateshead reserves. That was me little project that it got going. It had meat on the bone, and I just loved every minute of it. And as I say, Gateshead's very, very, very close to me, and love the club. As I say, I'm a Gateshead lad. So,
I mean, just going back to the last comment there, Colin saying you go nowhere. Colin beat you saying.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's nice, James. That's nice.
Getting back, the Gateshead, and I know we mentioned the team, which I think I've got highlighted the most when we put the starting 11s out and stuff like that, especially on Twitter as well. And it was nice to see a lot of the players that I mentioned in that Gateshead 11 sharing the post and just thanking you for the hard work that you put in with them as well. I mean, that must be nice to see. And the list of players that was there was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It's unbelievable, and honestly, James, there's a lot of players who isn't on the list, and all when you're looking at the list, you're trying to work a formation out, 4-3-3, 4-4-2. There's other players off the top of my head. Dean Briggs, fantastic. He was fantastic for me. Jake Orrell, who's at concert. There's some real good players like not on the list as well. But as you say, when you do a list like that, you can only play 11. And it was hard, but it was great. It was great. Oh, you bugger! Are you still there?
Still here, mate. Yeah, still here.
There we go. Yeah, it was real hard, and honestly, it was great bringing them the lovely memories back. Talking about Jake Orrell, when I went back to concert last year. And Jake was playing there. Luke Carr was playing there, who was fabulous for me again. Darren Holden, who I had at Sunderland and Gateshead. And again, it was great going to concert last year and helping them get promoted, and going back to see how they've developed. And that's the beauty about it. That's the beauty about it. As you say, you've had just a little part of their development, and they're ever so grateful. And that gives us loads of pride. Loads of pride.
Like I say, it's so hard to mention getting players into the team. I know I was speaking to Tom Wade the other night, and we asked him to do his best 11, and I think it was I'm sure it was a Saturday morning. I asked him, and he literally replied back on the night, and he says, "James, I've shortlisted my strikers down to 20. I haven't even picked the 2 strikers yet." And it just shows you, honestly, the list of names he was sending through.
Yeah.
You don't realise how many players he is, do you?
Yeah, well, he's done smashing as well, Tom, and he's a top guy as well, and a lovely footballing bloke as well.
Really good. And then you moved to Sunderland in 2015. You spent 5 years there, worked with the under-13s, 14s, youth development, and then the under-18s as well. Was it good, obviously, working at that pro club day in and day out? And was there any names, obviously, that you coached who kind of went on to play Premier League or at a good level as well?
Yeah. when I went into Sunderland full time as 13s and 14s, you know, you always look at, like, you know, what's your next step, what you're going to be doing next, and it was just a little ambition to, in my time there, to get the under 18 job, you know. So thankfully I did that within 3 year. But the ones that come to mind, obviously Jordan Henderson. I had Jordan when he was under 13, 14, up to 16 actually, and as I say, just to have a little part of his development, the career he's had it. Obviously Liverpool, winning the Premier League, Champions League, representing England, his country, and as you say, just to have a little part of his development, it's fantastic. And actually, again, I've got a letter in the house of his dad when I coached Jordan when he's younger. Brian, you call his dad. I still keep in touch with them both, and he's just saying how Jordan's fell in love with football with Paul and Lewis Dickman, who were his coaches. He wants to come to training early. He doesn't want to leave training. He wants to stay afterwards, and he did that as well. So he got his just rewards later for all the work he done when he was a young player. Martin Waghorn is another one. He's playing at Huddersfield at the minute. He was of a similar ilk. Always wanted to do extra, and again, has had a cracking career. The ones lately at Sunderland who I would say I was quite close to and fortunate enough to coach was Bally Mumba, who signed for Norwich. He's at Plymouth on loan at the minute. Sam Greenwood, who's at Leeds playing in the Premier League, and obviously Dan Neil. Them three were the same age group, and Dan's obviously a regular in the first team now. So they were the three latest ones who have went on to do really well.
Really good. And you also worked at England College as well for a good spell. I mean, tell us a little bit more about what was involved with that.
Yeah, what happened there, James? Obviously, we Gateshead doing quite well. We Gateshead doing really well in the nationals. They obviously knew, we attracted good players. And then after about 2 or 3 years doing the job at Gateshead, the coaching job, I got asked to coach the national colleges side, which was a real good honour. And I'd done that for 8 or 9 years. And I had some cracking players come through as well. Players who were obviously Nick Pope. Nick Pope played forward. There's one. All these lads and some of the lads at Gateshead as well. They were nearly all lads who had been at clubs, never got anything at 16. And we give the opportunity for them to get back in the league, like Chris Basham and people like that, But Nick Pope played for the England colleges. Chris Basham did. The big fella that plays for Wrexham now up front, Ollie Palmer. He played for England colleges, centre forward. Gareth McCready plays for Wycombe Wanderers now. So it was a real honour to be coach of the England colleges.
Just go again about it there. Craig's mentioned hope, but they should get promotion this season with Paul and Colin. Yeah, like you see, I know we've got a show it's next Thursday, kind of called the Final Hurdle, which we're going to be looking at the Northern League Division 1, Division 2. The run-ins is absolutely amazing. The team has been great following that throughout the season. And Tony, hats off, Mr. Price. Not easy being a coach and all the stress that comes with the team. Yeah, it's never an easy job, is it?
No, it's not an easy job, but it's so rewarding, mind you. It's so rewarding when, as I say, when you just helping somebody in a little way. Players think the world of that. But as I say, come Saturday when you've got to pick sides and you've got to pick 11, and you've got to leave 1 or 2 out. That is the hardest. That is the hardest bit. And I think one of the things now. The bigger it is the way you handle players now. That's changed so much. Like years ago, it was very much demanding. autocratic, but now you've got to you've got to put your arm around it. You've got to know the character really well, and I think that's the beauty about being a successful coach or a successful manager, is how to get the best out of players. In that, over the years, I think I've getting quite good at that. So that's really important.
I mentioned Berkeley at the minute, 2023, started managing with Berkeley, and what a job you're doing with Paul Foster and Robin Focus as well. How are you enjoying this season?
Do you know, honestly, when as I say, Concert got promoted, and I was always going to struggle to do the travelling in the league, what they're playing now, James. And I spoke to Foss at the end of last season, and he had mentioned Paul was going to be the chairman at Berkeley. He says, I'm going to put him for the job. He says, will you come? I want you and Robin to come in with us, And I've loved it, to be fair. I've loved every minute of it. And it's been a good league. It's been a real good league, and it's been a funny one, because we had a real good start of the season, but we never pulled away from any of the teams. And then we hit a little bit of an indifferent patch, and then we kicked on again. We had another real good spell, but we haven't, honestly, in fair play to the other teams, because Borough Rangers, Bedlington, Billingham Town, they're all in the round. Horden, who are a good side. They've all stuck in there, so it's going to be an exciting finish. We had a good result on Saturday, and we've got a big game this Saturday against Borough Rangers, which we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, massive. And I think, we've mentioned many times on the show with the squad that you've got. It's a very young side, but then you've got the likes of Rutledge scoring goals for fun, and then you've got the experienced players like Alex Francis as well. You've now signed a new deal in the club. Is promotion the aim, if not this season? I mean, that must be still hoping again to put it, obviously, if not getting promoted to put it off, and then if next season totally push on and go straight up.
Well, James, our first target this season was, to kick on from last season, from the foundation that Paul and Foss had done with the team last year. And I'm not going to lie, when we had our meeting at the start of the season with the players, we said the target is top 5, and it hasn't changed from that. We want to hopefully be in one of them playoff spots come the end of the season, and then see where it takes us. Because I think on any given day, we could beat anybody in our league. So as I say, that was what target. It looks as if we're on line to finish in the top 5, but we've still got a little bit to do yet. So we need to keep striving to make sure we do cement a top 5 place and see what happens in the playoffs.
It's a massive few weeks. Can't wait to watch how it all rolls out, especially in Division 1 and Division 2. It's going to be amazing few weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And as you see, we have got a mix. We made a conscious effort of signing players in and around the area to get the interest, and I think that's helped with I think we've broke the record attendance 2 or 3 times this season. With the record now is 469, I think, which is fantastic for a second division club, and hopefully we'll get a few through the turnstiles on Saturday when we play Borough Rangers.
I think it's National League Day as well, so we'll get along and get.
That's right. Yeah. And as you see, with Aidan's been ever so loyal to her. Obviously, his goal scoring it speaks for itself, but I'm more pleased with how his overall game's developing. I'm not more pleased with that because goals that's the most important thing. But it is really nice to see how his overall game is developing. He will play higher. Aidan Rutledge will definitely play a higher level.
That's a great watch. Before we get on the quick fire questions, still, I'd like to say absolutely smashing 15 people watching now, which is absolutely amazing. as well. And it's going to be quite a different one, quick fire. There's normally 5 questions, or a few extra ones, kind of going over coaching and playing as well. So we're really looking forward to these answers. If you haven't already, amazing support online, please hit that subscribe button as well. We're getting on to the quick fire round. Number 1 test that you worked in.
This mightn't be quick, mind you, James. Billy Bell was my first manager at Towlaw, and I thought he was fantastic to play. As I said earlier in the interview, he was light years ahead of himself, and I learned a lot from him. And I still carry out some of his sessions that he did with me all them years ago. And I would have to say the other one who I've worked with the longest is Stewie Sherwood. He had a real appetite for football, and he knew how to get the best of me. And I'll be forever grateful for Stewie for taking us to Aberdeen, for the job he done with us at Chelsea Street when I was mainly playing, and Stewie was running it from the side. So they would be the two.
Number 2, the best teammate that you've played with.
The best teammate is a lad called Ian Mohan. He used to play with us at Spennymoor. Every team should have a Mohan. Unfortunately, he's not with us now. But as I say, every team should have a Mo. He put his teammates first. He would run through a brick wall for you. Out of possession, absolutely fantastic. And just as I say, he was fantastic to me, and allowed me to get on with my game. But he was the best teammate I've played with.
Best opposition player that you played against?
Paul Walker. Paul Walker's the best. He's the best player I've seen in all the years. Could dictate the game. Could tackle. He had a superb passing range with both feet. His short game was brilliant. His long game was superb, and he chipped in with goals as well. But Paul Walker's the best player I've played against. The best player I've coached and why? The obvious one's Jordan Henderson. As I said before, the things that he done before training, after training, and the career he's went on to have. But I also think, alongside for what the programme is, and it's a lad that was on here not so long back, Mark Anderson, now playing for Spennymoor. He was great. Two-footed player, scored goals, created goals, superb passing range. And if I'm honest, I've never said this to many people. He reminded myself of a little bit when I played. So I always had a close bond with Sparky, and I think he's terrific.
Number 5. This must be football, but your best footballing moment.
Best footballing moment. I would say when I first got on a personal point of view, James, when I first got my A license, it was in 2005, and at that particular time there wasn't many in the northeast who had that A license, so I was very proud of that. For a coach and on a team perspective, it's when I ran Gates at under 19s, and we won the Durham Challenge Cup against Dunston or Dunston UTS. I think it was 2011-2012 season, and I think it brought everything that I had done to Gateshead and the link with the football club, and having a real good set of young players that have went on to win a senior cup. And it was fantastic for their development. The players included that day were Robbie Briggs, Danny Leigh, Chris Wilkinson, Andy Brown, you know, so that was probably the best, as I say, as a coach.
Yeah, really good. And finally, one of the funniest football moments that you've seen.
Oh, right then. There's a couple. A lad called Mickey Taylor. Again, he's not with us. You know, and what a character he was. And we're fortunate enough to win the Durham County Sunday Cup, and for Sherburn. And them days clubs were vibrant, especially Sherburne's club. And so after the cup final, we went into the lounge, and it's absolutely jam packed with players, their wives, and everybody else from Sherburne. And anyway, Mickey goes missing, and then he comes walking in. He's got nothing on, and he's got the county cup under his hand. And everybody's laughing and carrying on, and the women are going, ee, ee. And then Mickey goes, "What's the matter? You not seen the county cup before?" Well, honestly, I still laugh at that now. So that was a real funny one. There was another one, a close friend of mine, Derek Owen, straight with Bishop Auckland, against Spennymoor when I was at Spennymoor. And at the time, the changing rooms were at the top, and they were right next door to each other. And you could virtually hear the team talk. And our manager, Tony Monkhouse, he said to Robin Gill, our fullback, any chance you get, I want you to put Audie into the stands, put him into the stands, don't let him affect the game, blah, blah, blah. Well, Derek got here, and he knocked on the wall. He says, I can hear you, Bob. He thought he was called Bob Monkhouse, you know. Well, and again, that was unbelievable. But the last one, and probably the funniest one, is in time at Chester. There was a guy at Chester. He supported with home and away, but absolutely used to slate with week in, week out. Kenny Pringle, I think he was called. And anyway, this particular day, I remember I've played the ball up to Hicker. He set his back, and I've clipped one over the top for Stephen Stewart to run onto. Stephen Stewart puts a cross into the box, and this Kenny shouts, "Why, Hicker? Get in the box, lad!" There was absolutely no chance Hicker could have gotten in the box the way because he liked to link the play up as well. Hicker shouted out, "I'll put you in the box, lad. I wouldn't want it, lad." And honestly, there are a couple of little things. I honestly have chuckles at them all the time. Oh,
really good. A couple of comments from them to finish off. Good luck on Saturday.
Smashing.
Yes, was the record. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get that same that one. Hopefully, like you said, share it to kind of as well. There's many fans down the weekend at all clubs the weekend as well. Tony, great show. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, lads. Yeah, really appreciate your support all night. Like double figures now, which is absolutely Paul, thank you so much.
James, honestly, thanks very much. It's been fantastic, and as I say, from the first message I had from you, bringing back all the lovely memories, and honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. And I'd just hopefully you've liked us sharing the little stories and a little bit about my career.
Really appreciate support, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the night as well.
Smashing.